Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether, and it is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, and we're going to do the paper pumpkin workshop today. So it will be a little longer broadcast. We're actually going to do 6 cards, 3 from the kit and 3 alternatives. I'm looking forward to sharing with you a fun fold, a way to do different types of card front, including embossing. And gosh, what's the other one? Oh, doing things with the die cuts that are from the kit that will give you some ways to add interest to your card by having a variety of heights of the dies on your card. And so with that, let's see. I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to add the desktop here so that you can see what I'm doing. And let's open up our paper pumpkin kit. So Paper Pumpkin is our monthly subscription product. And you can order this month by month, or you can get prepaid subscriptions for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And this is the gift that keeps on giving. So you as a crafter, especially with Mother's Day coming up, or if your birthday's coming up, you can let folks know that you'd like something that comes every month. The project is pre-planned, but as I show you every month, you can also use the things that are in these kits to make your own creations, and also many times make many more cards than are included in the kit. But it does make your project planning and your stamping simple because it's all planned out for you. Anyway, I love this special design box. I saved the boxes to save things in as well. And let's look what's inside here. This month, actually, Stamping Up has given us a gift of a free stamp set, which is this one, in addition to the stamp set that is meant to be used on the card kits and the designs that they have provided for us. So the 2 stamp sets are really nice, and I'm going to put them to use today. And then this month's Stampin' Spot is Lost Lagoon. We always get at least one Stampin' Spot, so it's just a small but very nice inked up stamp, and I use these when I go out and about on the road. And actually, this last month I had a pad that had gone bad, my So Saffron, but I happened to have 2 spots from my paper pumpkins, so I was able to still use the color. That was really nice. I'm going to use my full-size pad, though, today while we're doing our stamping. They also send the adhesives that you'll need for your cards. So there are long line adhesives and dimensionals here. And I guess I was trying to say long lined dimensionals. And now I realize when I was looking at putting adhesive on one of the cards, they probably want me to pop this up a bit. So let me take that one out. I always have a number of these left over, and I try to use up the ones I have before I open another package of them. But we'll leave these out to the side to be used. Then they always provide enough envelopes. Now this card kit was to make 9 cards, and I've used the envelopes in different ways, and so I don't have all of them, but I'll show you the blue envelope that goes with this kit when we get to the alternative projects. But these are just some of the envelopes included. As some of the card bases, they have this one with faint Daffodil Delight on it. They've got this beautiful blue, and then I will show you the other one that has printed daisies on it. That's absolutely gorgeous. And then we have a number of die cuts that are going to be used in our projects today, plus some vellum we're going to use as a background to our sentiment, and then all of these die cuts for the different projects, which are so pretty. But I've got them all kind of paired up here by project. So let's just get this out of our way and go ahead and get started on the projects themselves. Now, one of the other benefits is we get a full color instruction book about how to make the cards. As I said, this is 3 cards, 3 each. And then on the back, they'll tell you coordinating colors so that if you want to get creative with alternatives, you have that. They also have a QR code you can just look at with your phone about the how to put this together in case you forget what time you've spent with me or you haven't had a chance to watch my video. And then new since last year is every 3 months they put out a special little die set that matches 3 months worth of paper pumpkins, which is really nice. All right. Well, then the first thing they do is they say, all right, here's how you can sort out all of the parts and pieces of your kit so that you're ready to make your projects, which is what I've already done. And then we're going to go project by project, follow their instructions, and put together the card from the kit, the ones intended. And then I have 3 alternatives to show you. Like I said, really fun. All right. I'll tell you what's on the instructions as I do the work here. And I'll remind you that the stamp sets that are provided in Paper Pumpkin are photopolymer, so I'll be using my Pierce mat while I'm stamping. Now this is the blue envelope, and I'm going to be using one of these to make our alternative card later. That isn't this gorgeous with the daisies. I'll tell you, daisies are another flower that Stampin' Up! Has numerous sets over the years, so you can always find a daisy set to use with this kit and just to use for your spring stamping, right? So that's our envelope for this. I'm going to set that aside. And then let me go ahead, and the card front here is this beautiful, very light Lost Lagoon. I need to find my bone folder, and we're going to just crease that and have our card front ready. Now this one is going to be a landscape card. And then I'm going to get out my ink, and we are going to do a little stamping. I've got die cuts here already with adhesive on them, plus some little gold accents here for a beehive because we've got bees in here with our flowers. We're going to open our Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to get my Pierce mat. And we have our sentiment that's going to get stamped. Better move my die cuts aside here. Okay. And Lost Lagoon, as I said, and they've provided nice labels for our die cuts. And I'm using, let's see, Enjoy Your Special Day. So let me find that one. Here we go. I'm going to just ink this up. And then center it on the label here. And just press down firmly. And pop that up so we have our sentiment. I always have my chamois off to the side here to wash as I go along. All right, now we're going to just add to the background of the front of this card. And we have this little piece of honeycomb. And we're going to be doing this in Lost Lagoon. Actually, remember we have a landscape card here. So I'll just kind of turn this so I know which direction it's going to end up. And I'm just doing a little bit of stamping here. And it just adds a little something to the background instead of being plain. All right. Then I'm going to wash that off. And dry it quick. All right, so now we have the stamping for this card completed. So I'm going to just set my ink off to the side here. And the Pierce mat we don't need right now. So let's just go ahead and put together this beautiful card. So I need to get some adhesive on the back of my sentiment label here. So I'm going to just use the mini glue dots they've provided and my take your pick tool to get these on the back of the sentiment. And if you haven't signed in, I see some of you are signing in. Please do let me know where you're watching from. And thanks for loving this and sharing it, Donna. I appreciate that. Patricia Murphy, hello. Let's see. I think I have adhesive on all the rest of these pieces. And now we're going to go ahead and put this together. So the first thing they want me to do is actually do the sentiment so I can get the oops, that one flying. So I can do the die cuts around it. There we go. So enjoy your special day. I'm just going to center that right here in the center of the card. All right. And then we're going to put together the top and the bottom. Let's see. So I have these the right way, the top and the bottom of this beautiful die cut. All right, and then I'm going to take a little bit of the gold here, and I'm going to make sure that it is connected onto the dimensional so that, oops, I got to connect it so it stays on the front. There we go. And then I'm going to go around the sentiment label. There we go, and just press down all of those dimensionals I put in place. And then I'm going to do the same on the bottom. Just remove, I have already put the dimensionals on here to save a little time. Oops. And I'm going to put this little piece of honeycomb down here on the bottom. And make sure that I get the dimensionals on top of that as I'm applying the bottom of this daisy. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? And the only other thing I have is a very little bee to put on here, which is just going to have a glue dot on the back. All right. And let's see. We'll get it to be right on top of that. There we go. So there is our first card for today of the kit. Okay, so that is project 1. And obviously it goes with this envelope. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, let's get out project 2. And let's see. Hi, Kelly. Glad that you're here. And Donna, I see 2 comments from you, so I don't think they disappeared. So glad you're here. All right, I've got the adhesive. Now isn't this a gorgeous envelope? This is for project 2. And here we go, all the parts and pieces. And we've got our card base here. All right. And we're going to do a little stamping on here. This one is going to be enjoy your special day. Oh, wait, maybe not. Nope, it's going to be a different one. Got to change the instructions here. This one is going to be thank you for always being there for me. There we go. And we've got that sentiment label. And I think that is the only thing we're going to stamp for this. So let's go ahead and get that done. And we'll be able to move on here. Back with the Lost Lagoon. And like I said, when you have the thin sentiment, you can do that on your desktop without having the Pierce mat. It's when you actually have images and a solid image that you have to have the Pierce mat, or you could get into trouble. So let's just set that ink off to the side and go ahead and stamp this on our label. All right. There we go. Thank you for always being there for me. I like that sentiment. Okay. I'm going to be using that on my alternative cards. All right. Let's go ahead and put this one together. And this is the one I put tear and tape on, but I realized, excuse me, that this is where I need to actually pop this up on the dimensionals. So I'll be just covering up what I did with tear and tape and add these to pop this up on the card. It's pretty with that window. You could actually do something all around the window if you wanted to, and make this a shaker card. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead, and we need to figure out, I'm going to set this on here, and then I have the pretty die cut here that's got soft sea foam and granny apple green on here to make this beautiful background for our daisy. Well, today we certainly have the rain that can bring spring flowers, but I don't know. Still might have some snow, so I hope none of them start popping out of the ground yet. We might get some crazy storms this afternoon. I know it was raining during the night and early this morning, so it's spring in Wisconsin. All right, I am going to just kind of hold this in place and center this within the circle area of the card. All right, and then I am going to take the adhesive covering off of my dimensionals here. We'll be doing alternative cards with this paper pumpkin kit. Yes, I am going to do alternatives, and they were really fun, so I hope that you'll like them. And hi, Kim. Glad you're here. You're getting thunderstorms right now. Yeah, I'll tell you, I think it's going to move across the middle of the country and hit a lot of places. All right, so we've got our, oh, that got on there a little crooked. Let's see. Oh, good, I can pull that off because I have the tear and tape on there. Boy, this is not letting me line it up very good. There we go. Okay. It's really pretty with the cut edges a little rough on there versus being smooth. Okay, what's next here? Let's see. We're going to put our flower on here next. And so the thing is, with this adhesive, there's dimensionals that will help raise the daisy up to the level of the front of the card. But where this leaf is going to go on the front of the card, I've put just a glue dot. So sometimes you got to think about different heights and different types of adhesive to put things on when you have, a raised part of your card front. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep the leaf on the flat part. and then center the daisy in that section of the beautiful background of that green die cut there. And then I have the little bumblebee is going to go on here. And I'm just up here on the top. There we go. And then it's time to layer the sentiment. Now I need to get some dimensionals on the back of the sentiment here. Yes, Kelly, I do have 3 alternatives I can't wait to share with you today. Betty, hello. Ooh, slushy and slippery roads. But at least you have power. Yes, I heard there was a lot of power that went out in Michigan. I'm glad to hear that you have it. Kim, thanks. I'm glad you're liking this. Now, first I need to put down my vellum. And this has those little glue dots which become invisible on the vellum. You got to be careful what you put on the back of vellum so that it doesn't, the adhesive doesn't show through, right? So we're going to put this down over our, let's see, about here. Okay. And then I'm going to put the sentiment right on top of that. It's kind of neat just having a little vellum under there. It just adds a little bit something different. So there is the second card. I think these are just so pretty. Okay, and then that goes with this envelope. Gorgeous. This is a gorgeous set to put 3 cards, the 3 cards we're doing, and give this as a gift to someone, and or just enjoy sending them out to your friends. Here we go with the third one. And this envelope's a little bit different. Aren't they? They're just so pretty. These designers are pretty talented. All right. So this card front, this is the card front, the card back. Wait till you see how I utilize this with the alternatives. So we'll just get this card ready to go. Now this one I did not put all of the adhesive on, so we'll do this one together. I do have the sentiment that I need to stamp on here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly. Now this one says sweetest birthday wishes. Okay, we've got that. Let me get my ink pad over here again. Very nice sentiments in this set. Great birthday set. Great spring birthday set. So if you've got birthdays coming up, this is perfect. Okay, and we'll center this. Oh no, let's try that again. Missed that one. You know, for that reason, I'm going to set it on the pierce mat because sometimes it's hard to see white on white, and that's how I ended up being off of the sentiment label. This will help me just orient my stamp in the right place. There we go. Much better. So when you're trying to put sentiments on thin labels, probably having a contrast behind what you're stamping is very helpful. Okay. Let's set that aside. Now we're going to be busy putting on our adhesive for all of these flowers that we're going to add. So this whole design, so this is kind of cool, is that every daisy on here is actually going to have a matching die cut. And so that's all going to be 3D. We're going to put some gold accents on here as well. And we've got a bumblebee too. So let's go ahead, and now that I have my sentiment stamped, I can also get the, oh wait, that needs to be flat, not with dimensionals. So let me put the glue dots on there instead. Yeah, I got a dimensional stuck on me. All right. I'll just take those adhesives off right away. Okay. And just set that off to the side a little bit. And then I'm going to put all of the dimensionals on the back here. The B just needs a glue dot. So we've got that on there. And I'll take that adhesive off right away. And then I'm going to add now dimensionals to all of the daisies. So I'm going to use my mini glue dots, and I'm going to use my regular size glue dots, depending upon the size of the flower. So that one needs a mini. And let's see, this one can use a regular one. Now, most of them, here and there, they have them with multiple dimensionals. So if I can fit another one on there, I will. Because whether these are mini dimensionals or the large ones, the height is the same on them. So it won't look funny from that perspective. They're just larger across. All right, I think I have my dimensionals on everything. And I'll be mindful when I am trying to attach the honeycomb that I hit a dimensional to keep it in place. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to put our sentiment on here, and we're going to kind of put it right in between all of these daisies. Yeah, I'm trying to place it so that the daisies won't cover it up. Let's see how that goes, okay? And then I'm going to just put the daisies with the matching daisy on the front here. And they actually line right up. Okay, so we've got that one. And I'm not quite sure which one's which until I put them together. All right, we have one with the round. Now, is that one of the ones that should have? Nope, not yet. Got to watch where I need to put the little accent gold honeycomb too. And I'm figuring out where they belong based on the coloring on the daisies. So that's a little hint there. That really helps. Okay. And all right, now I think we have one that we have to use our honeycomb as well. Let's see here. Yep, it's this one. So I'm going to put that honeycomb in place, and then I'm going to place the daisy. There we go. And then let's see about this one. Oh, this one doesn't need the honeycomb. It's going to be that last one. And it might be hard to see on camera, but this is really pretty because the flower is printed underneath too. So it's very, very, very striking. Okay, let's see. I've got to put those up. I'm going to put that right on those dimensionals. And then line this up. Okay. So even if you get it offline a little bit, it really looks pretty because the white, it just looks like a thicker flower. And then we need to get our bee on here. So I think we'll put it right there on that daisy. And there we go. Now, can you see the 3D effect on there? This is really a gorgeous card. And then, like I said, that goes with this envelope. So these are the kit cards then, before I get to the alternatives. So we've got this one and this one, and then the blue. So very pretty. Those are the kit cards. Let's go ahead now, and I'm going to get them out of my way and all this adhesive covering. And then we're going to start on the alternatives, and I got dimensional adhesive covering all over the floor. All right. So let's start out right with the fun fold right out of the gate here. And this is the one we're going to make first. So I took the blue cardstock and cut it in half. This is the back of a die cut out of the center of that card, which was meant to be thrown away, and I saved it. And then you're going to see that I use part of the die cuts from what would be the other third card. And also I am using the envelope to make this. And so this is our fun fold. It actually sits up like this. And then I used, now where did they go? These are the tiny bee trinkets, which are part of the Delightful Wishes suite, which are perfect for this card and for the daisies. So that's what the 3 little embellishments are. So let's go ahead and put this card together. All right, let me show you what I did with parts and pieces here. And what I'm using from the kit is actually the envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down to how I'm going to use it. So I am first going to just cut off the flap. So I'm lining up the flap fold line with the trough of my trimmer here. And I'm just going to cut that right off. So I've got that to set aside. And then I'm going to cut up the envelope itself because this is going to be my card front. And so I'm just going to slide this over the trough so it's on the other side of it and kind of covers up the brown because I want to get this whole daisy, but I just want to cut the sealed edge off. So it's very, very fine. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same with the bottom and just slide it to the trimmer to where the dark part is. So I'm just going to once again get a very thin strip off the bottom of the envelope. Okay. So you can see I'm just really going around. And then I'm going to do that again. All right, so now I've separated the front from the back. And now this can be used for, another card. I didn't use it in today's designs, but I will save this. This will be another part of another card. It's so pretty, that blue or Lost Lagoon. Okay, then what I want to do is I'm going to make my card base. And this is very thick, basic white. And what I've done is scored at 4 1/4 and then scored at 2 1/8 to have this also fold up on the half line. So let's go ahead and just use our bone folder on here to make our card base. Okay, and then I'm going to take this middle fold and I'm going to fold that in as well and use the bone folder on that. Okay, so this is the base of the structure. It's just really taking the front half of the card and making a score line and creasing it, and that's what's going to make the structure for our fun fold. Okay. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take another piece, and you can use the basic thick cardstock, basic white if you want, or you can use a regular piece of cardstock. But that is going to be, oh, I am using the card front size. So this is 4 1/4 by 4 inches by 5 1/4. So you can see that this will be centered. Okay. And then when I attach it, there'll still be a little frame around it, but I want to put the blue envelope paper on here, and now I need that to be one size smaller. So actually, I'm going to be cutting this to 5 3 3/4. So I'll just remind you, this is where the regular size for a medium envelope is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then the white that I'm putting on here is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So I'm going to cut the blue envelope front at 5 by 3 3/4 so that it fits. And this is going to be a landscape card because of the way the fun fold opens. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Sandy. Yes, I love the daisies. They're very happy. Okay, so now I need to just be strategic in knowing that it's going to be longer this way. So what I'm going to do is not cut on this side with the daisy because I want all of that, but this is going to be the long side, so 5 inches, and I'm just going to cut that edge off. Okay, so I've got this. I don't know that I'm going to use it, but that's the scrap. And then this is going to be 3 3/4 high. And once again, I don't want to touch that daisy, so I'm going to turn it upside down. And 3 3/4. And then I'm going to cut that. And we've got our card front. Okay. And we maintained the daisy design on there. Now I think, oh, one more thing we have to do with the trimmer. Okay, so I want to have this be the base. You always have to find something inside these type of cards that you raise up on dimensionals so that when you sit it up, it has something to rest again that holds it in place. And I thought this flap was perfect. So what I'm going to do is I want the flap to match with the blue paper here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this and actually, I'm going to put the backs together here. And I want this to be equidistant from one side or the other because it's centered. So I'm going to set it here. And then I'm just going to push it down. And then I'm going to turn this over. And you can see that I am sliding it just a little bit so I'm getting an even amount of that envelope flap on each side of this paper. And then I'm going to take one of my longer scissors and I am going to cut right next to the card front to trim off that envelope flap. And then I'm going to turn this the other way. I'm holding it close because it stays together better for me to take my cut. And I've got that off. All right. So now I have, these are scraps I'm just going to throw away, but I have the center piece that I want to glue on a piece of cardstock. So designer series paper is a little flimsy, right? So I want to go ahead and I'm going to glue this right onto a piece of basic white cardstock, just so it has some, it's a little bit thicker, a little stronger, and it will actually help hold the card up. So I'm just going to put a little glue on the flap. I like that there's a little bow in it, so I'm going to keep that. Okay. And now I'm going to just glue this right in the corner so I have less to cut. So I've got that all lined up. Oh, I got a little glue on the front of there. All right. And then I'm going to take that, my scissors that I use with glue, right? And I am just going to cut right along the envelope. To create what will be the inside of that card and the part that is going to have the dimensionals to hold our card open when we have the flap there. So this is scrap. All right, now I think we have all of our parts and pieces. Let's set that aside, get rid of our trimmer. And we're ready to do a little stamping and put this together. So let's do the stamping for this before we put everything together. So I'm taking what is a part of the free stamp set, and now I need Memento Black because I'm going to color this. So this is just a daisy with leaves. Okay, set that aside and get my Pierce mat just so we get a good impression, right? So this would have been throwaway from the kit, and I decided to save it. And then I'm just going to center this on the top half of the circle. There we go with those daisies. And then I want just the happy birthday. So they have a straight happy birthday in this set as well. So now I don't need this, right? And let's get our Memento. I'm going to just, instead of mixing colors, keep my sentiment black as well. So it'll match the outline of this flower. Just kind of center that. So we've got our happy birthday. Oops, there goes the earring. Good thing that didn't land in the ink pad, right? All right. So we've got that now to color this. And remember, when we use Stampin' Blends, they bleed. So I'm going to take it off my Pierce mat. And I'm going to put some scrap paper underneath here. And I'm just going to grab a few Stampin' Blends here. Now remember, Stampin' Blends come in pairs, a light and a dark. And that's so we can do shading. And so this time I'm going to maintain the white petals. And I'm just going to do a little crumb cake, the light crumb cake, to do a little shading on these white petals. And I'm going to use my nib tip to do that. And it's just going to be just a little bit to add something along where the artist has left some of the crease lines in the petals. Okay, so just not plain white, a little shading. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab the Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to use the lighter one and get that center going with a little yellow here. So I'm using the lightest one. Then I'm going to use the dark one with the nib point because I want to create some shading. Okay, so you can see that, right? Little shading. But now I am going to add the dark crumb cake with the nib tip, and there are some dots on this. I'm just going to kind of follow those to make even a little bit more shading around that center. Okay, now I'm going to do the leaves in light mossy meadow. And I'll try doing it here with a little bit of the brush tip. Oh wait, this brush tip I need to get. I use mossy meadow so much I'm going to have to get a new one. So we'll go with just the nib tip is fine on this one. The brush tip I've kind of abused a bit, I think. So you just try to stay inside the lines because it may bleed just a little bit because it's got that alcohol. And okay. And then I'm going to go to the other side, the other leaf here. And having just a little bit of this color on this, you could leave it black and white if you wanted, but this is just enough of a coloring project and just enough to make this pop on the front of the card. So that's why I liked it, and I thought, I'm going to color it in. I also have some people that are interested in how to do some coloring, so I thought this might help. Okay, so now that's with light. Let me take a little bit of the dark mossy meadow to get a little shadow in here. And I'm going to use the nib end again. And what I'm going to do is just go over the veining of the leaves. And then along, a little bit of one side of the leaves, kind of like they're shaded. So I'm going to do that on this side too. And I'm going to be consistent on the side that I'm doing it on. So it looks like the light is coming from the same spot. And then to blend it, I bring back the light and I just do little circular motions. And that helps it look like it kind of blends, but it's a little bit darker where I had used the other marker. But you don't see a line. You just see that it kind of is a little shaded. So a little bit shaded on the bottom side. There we go. Okay. So that is that. And if you went outside the lines, what the color lifter does is it actually lightens it up. And or if you wanted to make it look like there's a little light shining on these leaves, you can back off a little of the color by using the color lifter. And it will actually take some of that color away as it dries. So it's another way to get a little variety in your color. So let me show you, especially on this leaf, you can see where it's really lightened up quite a bit where I use the color lifter. So that adds another dimension, I guess, of tone on there. All right. So now I'm going to just create the front of my card here by gluing this piece of the envelope on here. And once again, this was cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. There we go. And then I'm going to center this on the front of the card. Okay. Hi, Brenda. Thanks so much for sharing. All right. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in some of those die cuts that were from the other card. And I'm going to use another card where I don't use all of the die cuts, but you're going to see that you're not really going to notice that. Now, 2 of these I'm going to actually glue down all the way. And then I'm going to pop up the 3rd one to get some dimension on here. Okay, so we've got this bigger one here. Kind of put that down. I don't want to cover up any words. So I'm just going to let that adhere. Then I'm going to put this other bigger one to the other side of the bottom of the circle. That's my focal image. And once again, I don't want to go over that daisy. And then this little one is the one I'm going to pop up. So I just need one of my mini dimensionals. Where did the mini dimensionals go? There they are. And that's going to be right on the bottom. Between these 2. Okay. And then I want to do the tiny bees. These might have gone into the clearance rack. If you are not already aware, yesterday, a number of products went into the clearance rack. Some are actually on sale. Others are not discounted, but may be on their way out. So you might want to look at the clearance rack in case you have any favorites and you want to get them before they're gone. But I think these might be in there, and I better get on there and get some of them before they go away because they are so adorable. All right, and then I'm going to actually flip these 3 over. And I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the back of each one to get them on the front of the card. And this works just perfectly actually on the back, because if it's a little bit bigger than the bee, you can fold that little glue dot over and you'll never see the adhesive. Okay, so we've got that one, this one. And if you have a hard time keeping these in place or getting the adhesive on or off, you can use a tweezers. That always helps. Here, that one just wants to go for a ride, so I think we'll get it right where it belongs here. There we go with one of them. And let's get the adhesive on the 3rd one here. And let's see, where do we want? This one I want to have sit right on that flower. There we go. And this one we'll have off on the other side. Out in the wild blue yonder. There we go. All right. Now let's finish putting the front onto the card. So the thing that we're going to do here when we're gluing is, remember, there's a frame around the bottom of this, but otherwise we can glue right up almost to the top here and go down. We'll want to go across, but leaving room for the frame so we don't get it to ooze over anywhere. And then we're going to actually center this on the card. So it's kind of a white on white frame, right? And then I'm just going to press on this bottom part. And then you'll see when I put this over, that's the part that's going to sit up. And now we're just going to set this right in here. And I'm going to put dimensionals on this. And that's going to be the thing that holds it in place. So let me grab dimensionals. This time I'm going to use my regular size dimensionals. And I always like, this is the part that's going to be against here. So I always like to make sure that I have a good line of dimensionals. So I'm going to put 4 across on here to just hold this in place. Okay. And then the other side only needs 3. All right. Then I'll just take off all this covering. Paper backing. I always call it something different, I think, every time I take them off. All right, there we go. And then I'm just going to make sure that I get this near the bottom and have the same space on each side of my card. I don't want that to quite go to the bottom, okay? And then you can see how nicely that sits up. Now, people could write on any of these panels. You could put another stamp there. You could also stamp a greeting on here before you put it there that says happy birthday, hope it's the best year ever, or whatever. But that is your card. And this is especially nice for someone who likes to display their birthday cards. And that would make them happy for a very long time. So that is alternative 1. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to now make alternative 2 and 3, which are kind of coming from the same thing. Let me just get this over here. All right. So let me show you the 2 cards I'm going to make out of 1 card this time. So we've got this card and this card. And I'm making this out of 1 of the kit cards. Okay, and I'm going to actually, this one, I'm going to show you another card front design. So, but let's start with this one first, because this is pretty simple. And the difference that you see from the card as it was intended will be very little, but it helped me get the die cuts off of this card are what I used to put on the bottom of this one. Okay. And it's not like anything's missing on here. Actually, it adds additional interest because there are 3 flowers that are flat to the card front and then 3 that are raised in addition to the bumblebee. So it's still very interesting. But I thought that it needed a little something more to pop. So what I did with this is, let's go ahead and this has got all kinds of parts and pieces. Let's grab this card front and let's do what we need to make these differing cards, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this card base in half. And so once again, I'm just going to put this right in the cutting path. And I'm going to cut this right in half. And we've got 1 card front and then the second card front. Okay, so let me set that aside. And we're going to focus on this one. Now, the easy thing to do, but I want to do it equidistant around, is I'm going to cut down this card front, but I'm actually going to do it in kind of a picky way because I want to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side so that when I'm done, it fits on this regular, this is the 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And I want to keep all of the daisy flowers on here. I don't want to cut into one side more than the other. So I'm going to actually go right around here, and I am just going to, so this is at right 4¼ So I'm going to take half of that distance off to get to 4 inches. I'm going to go to 4 1/8, and I'm going to cut this side. So you can see I'm just taking this really little piece off, and now I'm going to flip this totally around the other side, and I'm going to take another 1/8 off to get this down to the 4 inches of my card front. Okay, and then to get the top and the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. So that's why I got to go to this side though, because the measurements are better over here. Anyway, 5 1/2 is what it's at. I'm going to go down just 1/8. So taking another little piece off, and then I'm going to do the last one to make this 5 inches. I'm sorry, 5 1/4. All right, so now I have created the perfect size card front for, this is a half a piece of cardstock, like I said, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and score this at 4 1/4. And then fold this with my bone folder. Get this out of the way for right now. And it must have been a little crooked. So then I hold it together when I do the bone folding to straighten out that crease. Okay. There's a little bubble here. I'll push that up with my thumb, and that will straighten it out. I don't know if the hive bone is still available. I don't think it is, Kelly. So this is the, oops, because I'm going to show you how I use this, but this is the Hive 3D. I don't think it is in there right now, but you might find it on, you know, eBay or Etsy, or on one of the sites where people sell their Stampin' Up! Stuff. So see how nice that background is. And this is just going to get glued flat to the front of the card because I have these die cuts that are going to pop up, right? Yeah, when I went looking for this folder, I couldn't remember if I had purchased that Hive folder or not. I was so glad I had, because there are quite a few bee stamp sets and flower stamp sets that Hive is nice. The hammered metal one might look good behind here too. Anything with some texture. All right, so we've got that. Then I am going to use, let's see, did I use, I'm just going to put white on the inside here for a card insert, same size as the card front. And today I'm focusing on the fronts and the card design, so I'm not going to stamp inside here, but I always encourage you to, and I do when I'm going to get this out in the mail. So there we go. Unless I want to write a lot, then I like it when it's just plain. Okay, so we've got our inside. Now, let me grab the other parts. I have the parts for the third card here too. All right, let's get this. I guess I had that. I can set that back over where I got it. All right, so now I need to do my sentiment here. And then I've got some of the pieces from the set. I'm going to use some of that gold honeycomb. I'm going to use 3 of the die cut flowers and the bee. So let me just get my stamping done. Now this time I'm going to go with Mossy Meadow just to change it up a little bit. So let me grab this one. because I want it to match the card base. I kind of like that. And let's see, this is going to be Sweetest Birthday Wishes. And let me just get my stamp it up here. You know what, though, I'm going to do, just so I hopefully get it straight this time, is set this here to give myself the contrast, right? So just hold it there a second. There we go. I almost pressed too hard. I re-inked my Mossy Meadow. I've been doing a lot of re-inking because I've been doing a lot of stamping. So just, it's wonderful when I re-ink because you don't realize how different and how much better it looks when you do that. It's like I give myself a little present, but I can't press too hard because I'll make a mess of it, right? All right, so now let's go ahead and just get all of our adhesive on the back here. So I am going to find my mini dimensionals first, get 3 across the back of my sentiment. And then I'll be catching the, actually I'm going to show you another way to glue on those honeycomb. And I'm going to use between large dimensionals and little dimensionals. To get these daisies on. All right, and my bumblebee is going to need just a little glue dot. This is kind of a really good example, these card fronts, of using, different adhesive to get the look that you want. So before I do this, now let me show you the alternative way that I want to put the honeycomb down in the corners. And so I'm going to use this little tool I created with a piece of a sponge. I don't know if you remember when Stampin' Up! Had these round sponges. I just cut this off, put the binder clip. I have this Tupperware that I keep it in so that it dries in between. Let me get my silicone mat. And this is so that I can actually, I'm going to put these honeycomb upside down on here. And then I'm going to get my multi-purpose glue here, and I'm going to put just a little dot of it. And then I'm going to just tap on it. And then I'm going to come over here and tap on the back of the honeycomb, making it sticky. And then I'm going to shift it over here and going to put one on this corner. So I've made it kind of like a sticker on the back of this very thin die cut. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And it gets very sticky. You can see it sticking right to my finger. And now I'm going to put that one up here. And they're glued right down. Now, I set this in here. This has a lid, but until this dries, I don't put the lid on. Then it's always just sitting on my craft table. And then when this dries, or if I had time right now, I just go to the sink and this comes right off. You rub it with your thumb, and I use a little warm water, and then the silicone sheet is as good as new and ready for the next time I'm going to make a mess with glue. All right, so I've got the 2 honeycombs where I want them. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the sentiment. And I did decide to pop that up because I have 3 flowers that do not pop up and 3 that do. So I guess I wanted the sentiment to have a little attention. So I'm just going to kind of place this right in between the flowers. All right. And then I'm going to go and just match up the die cuts with the flowers that they belong to. So let's see. This must be this one right here. Now you can have the petal go under or over. I'm going to put it under that sentiment sheet. And hi, Cassie. Nice to see you. Okay, here is another one. Now let's match this one up to the right flowers. This one. Okay. And then this one, I believe, goes right up here. There we go. And then I've got my little bee here that needs to get placed. And I'm going to put him right on the petal so that that one glue dot will hold him in place. And there is that card. And you wouldn't even know that I've kind of taken part of another card because both of them are going to look great. You know, with all of the daisies are just part of them. So, okay, that's one out of that card base. So now let's go to the second part of that, and that's this one, but I'm going to show you a different card front that we're going to make for this next one. So this was actually, I put half of this card base through the embossing folder. So I did this. You know, put it in here. You can do it like this and fold it depending upon which embossing machine you have, or you can line it up this way and put it through. Not that way, this way. Sorry. You're going to do it, I guess, the same way. All right. So I just did half of this. And this is, you know, not one of the bigger die embossing folders we have now. This is more the normal size. All right, so that was my card front. And then I'm going to do some of the same steps, but it's going to look a little different. But so this was the card back on the kit card. And what I did was just cut this in half. So I took this and I cut it in half. So actually, out of one card, I'm going to get 3 cards. I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get this one. And I'm going to get the third one that I'm making right now. And that's all out of one card base, okay? And we're going to do this one a little different. So I have this background, and I am actually going to stamp on it before I frame it. And a couple things. First, I'm going to take this card base. So now I'm using the, I think this is crushed curry. And go like this. And I'm going to make, instead of embossing, you know, the card front with the embossing folder, I'm actually going to stamp it. So I am going to use a Pierce mat because I'm going to use the solid image. So this gift stamp set has 2 different honeycomb stamps. This one is the solid honeycomb design, and then this one is the outline of the honeycomb design. And so this time I'm going to first use this one, and I am going to do some stamping off, and I want to use crumb cake. I'm going to use that because in this designer series paper, some of these off colored that are not yellows are crumb cake. So I'm going to match that. So that's one of the things. Remember, I tell you, when you're looking at designer series paper, or in this case, when you're working with this kit, use the coordinating colors to help you choose colors so you don't have to go rogue, unless you want to go rogue, right? Okay, so I'm going to do this in 2 ways. I'm going to do this as just the dark, right? And press that down. Okay. Now, because I did this just on an edge, I don't want to go in and do this again because it will show a straight line where I went off the side of the card. So I'm always going to go back and re-ink, whether I'm doing first or second generation stamping. Okay. So I'm going to do another one that's full strength, a bit over here. Okay. And I think I might do a little bit up here in the corner too. Sorry, I'm making my phone move while I'm doing the video here. Okay, so now I'm going to do some next generation stamping, which means I'm going to stamp off first. So I'm going to stamp off the whole thing so I don't leave any lines when I do it on here. And now I'm just going to put it wherever I want to and do this lighter color. Okay, and I'm going to do that again. All right, and then let's see, I do think I have to do one more little corner here. And I want to put just a little bit up here in this corner. All right, now I want to do a little bit of the line design of the honeycomb. And I'm going to keep that the darker color. And I'm going to do a little bit there. I'll tell you, this fun free set, oh my gosh, what you can do with it. I love it. Well, that's probably going to get all covered up. Let's get one up here. Okay, so that's that. But now we've got to do a little stamping on the designer series paper itself. Now we could leave it so it's full white, but I think it looks a little better when it's got a little color on it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a little bit of the dark stamping. And wait, let's do the full strength stamping here first. Okay, and then I'll get this full strength again and stamp that off and get that down here a little bit. And let's do a little bit of dark stamping on here. Okay. There we go with that. I'm going to set this aside, and I do want to do a little of just a little outline on here. Don't forget to turn your stamp a little bit so it doesn't look all the same. All right, let's see. That is all of the background stamping I'm going to do there. All right, so this has a different look. I'm going to do the same background that I did on the other one, just to help the crumb cake pop. So I believe this is, so the designer series paper ended up being 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. That's off of the card base itself. And then I'm adding to it crumb cake 3 inches by 4 1/2. So I just added a 1/4 inch on each side. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. All right, and then to create some interest with this, I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals on the front of the card itself. The whole little card front focal images are all going to be popped up on here. Okay, so I am going to just center this. And that's all set up. All right, now to finish the design here, I've got just a small sentiment label here, and I think it's 1 inch by 3 inches. And I'm going to put the sentiment on here. Thank you for always being there for me. It fits really good in this size sentiment label. If I can find that stand. There it is. So let me get my Memento black again. No. And just stamp that up. Okay, we've got that. And now it's time to make our bee. So they have bees that are die cuts in this set, and they have bees that we can make and cut out. I think I'll go with this is fine. Okay, so I want to get the black again, and I'm just going to make the whole bee. Okay, and then this bee has a body, and I'm going to do that in, where did I put it in here? I believe the Daffodil Delight. So the little bee body here. And I'm going to just line that up here. Oops, upside down. So we've got the little bee body, and now the wings. So I am going to make the wings with Lost Lagoon. So a lot of times I'll use Balmy Blue when I do wings so you can see them. But since the color of this kit was Lost Lagoon, I'm going to do it in there. And I'm just going to use this little scrap that I have because I want to stamp off. So let's see. I have, here's the wings. I'm going to put them in Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to stamp them off on this scrap. And then I'm going to stamp them on the wings. Let me get this up here for you. And just match it up. And there we go with the Lost Lagoon. Isn't it nice that you can see the wings? Okay. Now this has to get fussy cut out. So just take my little fussy cutting scissors here. And I am going to go around the legs and all. And it worked just fine. I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And it does work. And it does look better if you see the legs actually cut out. So I know it's a little icky picky, but it doesn't take long. And it really does help it. And the antenna, cutting those out too. This is such a nice size bee. You could use this over and over. I do not have a bee stamp like this. Now I do. And remember fussy cutting? You don't move the scissors, you move the paper. It helps you have a much smoother looking cut. Okay. All right, and we have our bee. Let's get all of the crumbs out of the way here. Okay, and let's go ahead and finish our card. So we have this, and we've got our little bee. And the fact that there's that little blue on there makes a big difference on the front of your card. Okay, so now remember, when I'm doing this, I'm going to put a dimensional on this side because this is already sticking up, but this isn't. And then I'm going to glue down this side. So to make sure that I don't put the glue too far, I just roll it right over so I can use it to help just give me the space where I can put glue. And then I'm going to get one little dimensional and put that over here on the side. And then I have this right how I want it. And I'm going to put it right in the center. And then just hold it in place. And then I need one little dimensional because I want my bee popped up. And we'll have that overlapping right there. So now if you wanted to, on the other card, I took a little honeybee thing and I put that on there as an accent. I'm going to have these two cards look different, so I'm not going to do that. I also did a piece like this that if you wanted to on the inside, when you put in this, you could decide to do a little of this along the bottom and then cut it off. Let's go ahead. I'll just show you how that will look. I think I'm going to put a little glue on here. And like this. Cover up where that glue is. Actually, this might be the top. Then I'm going to take that scissors that I only use my one scissors when I got glue going on, right? And cut straight across. And you could actually, now that you did this, I'm going to use the whole thing, the whole shooting match. Go ahead and just glue this on. Since that's already flat, I can just line it right up. And then put this inside. Now that really adds a lot to the inside of that card. Plenty of room to write. If you wanted to put a bee in here, that would look great. It's up to you how much futzing you want to do, right? Okay. So we have that. So we can look at, this is all from one card base, all three of those. And then we have our other two. Better move my glue out of the way. We've got the stand-up one here. And we've got the other one here. So those are, no wait, that's the kit one. No, these are the 4 that I made, right? Out of 2 card bases, I made 4. No, 1 envelope. 1 envelope and 1 card. Okay, now I got it. So this was from the envelope. This was all from 1 card base. So from 1 card and envelope, I got 4. And if you did that with all 9 things in this, 4 times 9, 36 cards. With just adding some card bases and some, other cardstock, right? And using the 2 free stamp sets. And then, in addition, if you want to do part of this by using the actual kit, then you get these beautiful cards. So I think this was a pretty fun kit. And you can do a lot. And remember, for those of you that are Paper Pumpkin members, you can always buy a refill kit, and you could really make a lot of cards, a lot of gifts, a lot of things to make people happy with Happy Meal, right? So let me look and see if anybody has any questions. Oh, Betty, thank you. I'm glad you like the way they look. This was really fun to play with you guys. Not gonna lie, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So tomorrow, for those of you that are Paper Pumpkin subscribers and have bought those from me, and anyone that's bought a kit since the beginning of the year, tomorrow is the kit event. Now you can come as a paid person to attend that kit event. I'm going to be sharing 2 different kits. The landscaping kit, where it's actually a framed photo of a multi-layered design. They're gorgeous. And the heirloom arrangements, I think it's called. And that makes at least 8 different cards. And I'm going to share that with people. So you can register if you haven't bought a kit since the beginning of the year or Paper Pumpkin from me. But otherwise, those individuals will be invited to the event free, and the invitation will be coming your way later today. And that's going to be tomorrow. And then I'm on deck for next week. We're having a mystery stamping crop, which you can find. There will be information here on this business page and or in my weekly newsletter. And then we will have a class coming up shortly after that. And it's going to be about how to store and use your scraps in card design, and then how you store them so you use them, because we sure want to get every bit out of our supplies, right? And we want to make people happy. So those are the things coming up. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help you with your stamping or paper crafting projects. And you can reach me at Traci, Traci, at plumcrazystamping.com. So if you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And here on Facebook, I would love to see your emojis and sharing this video with others so that we can help more people enjoy their paper crafting journey. Anyway, take care, friends. I hope to see you soon. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.